Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel to the 17th episode of the Road to FIDE Master series. In this one I will cover the first round of the Irena Varakomska Memorial that I played this week. New tournament for you guys, plenty of very good opponents, so plenty of very interesting analysis. This is the first one, so without further ado, let's start with the game. So, what can I tell you guys? I was listed as 29th player out of 40, so as you can tell in the lower branch of the table, let's say. So at the beginning, first game, first tougher opponent rated over 2300 ELO rating. FIDE Master from Lithuania, Matas Indžiūnas. Obviously I have not met him ever before, but I was very happy that I can play someone outside my country. So even though I had black pieces for the first game, I was happy with the pairing, also because, for the first game it's not that common to prepare against the opponent, therefore I was able to start with my favorite opening mostly for blitz and rapid games, but in this one, since there was no preparation, I felt like I might try it also in the classical game, so I opted for the 4 knights Sicilian. If you watched my tier lists openings for the beginners and the advanced players for black pieces, you will see that the 4 knights Sicilian is not my favorite, but one of the favorite ones. Okay, let's now try to cover the opening. So 4 knights Sicilian looks like this. As you can tell, this is the name, right? So pretty obvious. At this point, white has many options. They can take here, they can jump there, they can play a3, they can develop one of the bishops, and so on. My opponent decided to take on c6, push e5 and play knight e4, which is a logical idea, trying to hit the dark squares in my position, also trying to make my bishop miserable. And the main line, I believe, is queen c7, trying to hit this pawn that is advanced but also weak. But I knew the idea that is kind of niche, not that often played, so I've played bishop to b7. What's the idea of this move? The idea is that I would like to play c5 in the future, opening up this bishop, having an eye to this knight, maybe exchange it or something like that. So this is the idea, even though at the first glance it looks like it's just a stupid move and waste of tempo, since the bishop is stuck anyway, right? In here my opponent was already not, let's say, shocked, but surprised a little bit, so I felt like my opening choice was a good one. Played c4 move, very obvious one, trying to hit the knight, and then c5, solidifying this weak bishop in here, and it's all the theory still, so please don't be shocked with my next move, which is queen to b8. The idea is obviously to not only hit the e5 pawn, but try to cover d6 square, to not allowing the opponent to place the queen there forever after, let's say, knight d6, bishop d6, queen d6 sequence, because I will be always able to exchange it now. So, since this pawn is hit, my opponent opted for f4, and at this point I knew that finally I have to play for some, let's say, activity, for some space advantage or space in general, right? And this is the position from the thumbnail. It's not looking that great, but objectively it's still okay. As you can tell from the eval bar, I'm not losing yet, but the key move here is to play bishop a6. You may say that it was a waste of tempo, but on the other hand, thanks to this in between move, I managed to get the d5 square for my knight, because those pawns pushed so far up the board. And with this move I have a clear idea of exchanging this bad bishop, so it will be no longer existing on the chessboard. So very nice. At this point my opponent opted for a3 move, trying to hit my knight, which protects my bishop. Therefore I had to exchange the bishops and jump back to the knight that I was jump back to the square that I was just mentioning, which is d5. Pretty nice one for my knight. Since my opponent is willing to push f5 because he has the rook here and my king is not yet castled, he has to somehow protect this pawn. So he plays queen d4, protecting the pawn, going for f5 in the next move. I decided to play bishop e7, f5, takes, castle, and at this point my fury started coming to an end, let's say, because I knew that at this point white has two options, either to simply develop bishop to d2 or maybe to g5, trying to hit my bishop and exchange one of my king's defenders, but I was not sure what to do after that outside of just one little idea. So My opponent opted for bishop g5, I exchanged and pushed queen to b3, and this is this one idea that I had, meaning that I knew that this position, especially this one, is still in the fury, so it's looking like white is basically crashing. And even one of my colleagues during the tournament, when we were talking about this game few days after, he asked me like, well, is it Fury or not? Because it looked like you were crushed. But no, it's still Fury, so as I said, I knew that I am okay. Bishop d2 is more sensible move, to be honest, because it keeps the bishops on the board, and it's useful because this queen penetration might be sometimes annoying. And with bishop to g5, my queen will not only go to b3, but maybe also to c2, trying to hit all the pawns and pieces like from the back. Very annoying piece. And with bishop on d2, if let's say I opted for the same line, the idea is that thanks to the bishop still being there, rook c1 might be the option to kick my queen out. So this would be the difference. Bishop g5 obviously has some merit to it too, because as I've said, it removes the defender of the king. So even though I knew that the queen b3 is the idea, I had to calculate a little bit of the variations, because knight f6 is a threat, right? My pawn is pinned to my king, so knight f6 with some checkmate patterns is already there on the board. But after queen b3, knight f6, I can simply trade the knight, give a check in between one, trying to also hit the opponent's king, which is white in the open. And after the king f1, I would play g6, even though this pawn looks very nasty. I believe that the queen is has no time to really punish me for it, and if that's the case, then I should be able to create some initiative thanks to the open e-file and weak white king. So this was that. So I played queen b3 as I've said, and my opponent replied with rook to d1 move. So after this move I developed my rook too, and I feel like this rook is doing much more than this one. This was just my idea, and my idea is simple too. I would like to perhaps push f6. Okay, I am opening my kings a little bit, but at least I'm putting the pressure to those crucial e-file squares, let's say. I was also briefly considering f6 immediately, with the idea that well, I maybe don't have to play the rook there because I can put the rook later on the e8 square, but I was not sure about the variation like this. E takes f6, knight f6, because there is no pin there, opponent can take, and I felt like, okay, I'm rook down, so why am I even calculating it, right? Well, the idea is that after rook to e1, e8 check, if the king goes here, I can then grab the rook with a check. If the king goes here, I can then check here, and once again take the rook with a check. So not only I will be able to take the rook back, but also, even though I'm pressured here, remember that the queen is always under the attack. So maybe I will be also able to do something about it. But I felt like after rook e5 move, which is covering the e-file, I am not that happy with this endgame. Okay, I have the queen, okay, opponent have many, let's say, weaknesses, but at the same time, two rooks are the two rooks, and you never know what they can do against you. And also at this point, you can tell that Ivar Bar was not really liking my choice due to the fact that after king to d2, king might escape, let's say, to this side of the board, and I would not be even able to take this rook that I was talking about. Therefore, due to that fact, I decided against it. I decided that at this point I still have time to do some simple normal developing moves, hence rook a to e8 was played. At this point my opponent tried to attack my queen. As I've told you guys, it would be much better with the bishop on d2, because without it, even though my queen is attacked once, twice, and then thrice, I can then find a very cozy safe square on f4, and as you can tell, Ivar Bar just went up in my favor. Why? Because all this fourth sequence did is, well, it didn't do much for white, that's the case, and for me it allowed me to put my queen in much better spot because I am now attacking the e-file squares, as I've said, together with my rook. So it's a very big pressure to the opponent, and to be honest, at this point, if you ask me, well, what should white do then? My answer is I don't know, because I knew that at this point I'm still nearly in fury. I just got out of fury, but I felt like the opponent is the one who needs to really say that okay, I got this, I know how to continue, and he had to prove what he's willing to do. So I didn't really care that much about what he's going to play. I was just, going with the flow. So I felt like okay, he might try this, so I will go here. He might try this, I will check and go to f4. And once again, it's his problem. How is he going to react? Knight f6 as of now is not working. You might ask it, okay, there is the pin, right? There is the discovered attack. I cannot take it with the pawn because it's pinned. I cannot take it with the knight because knight is responsible for defending the queen, but I can take it with the queen itself because this pawn is pinned. So very nice tactic there. And because of that, because this pressure, opponent tried playing e6, after which obviously I covered the diagonal with f6. I cannot take here because of the checkmate. Remember guys, you have to be careful. So f6, stopping this diagonal from being threatened. At this point, this pawn is weak. He cannot take it because I can take the knight. So well, what can white do? My opponent opted for rook f3 move, trying to hit my queen away from attacking the knight and then go away with the king from the e file. But obviously at this point I grabbed the h2 pawn, I grabbed the e6 pawn, so I'm 2 pawns up for nearly nothing. And I was thinking, wow, my preparation really worked out, even though I did not prepare this specific variation for this specific game. I just remembered the theory a little bit. It worked out in a way that you can see right now. Move 25, black pieces, but I am 2 pawns up and white has not that great position. He decided to play knight g3 with the idea of rook h1, closing my queen there, so very nice trick. However, I have also very nice trick, which is rook f2 e1, and the idea is that if he plays here anyway, I can simply deliver a check, and the check cannot be omitted by the opponent because I can then deliver the checkmate. So opponent has to take the rook, and after this move I can take this rook, right? So my queen is no longer trapped. I maintain my initiative, my pawn advantage, and so on, so on. Rook h3 would be a nice try, trying to, I don't know, create some initiative, but I can then sack the rook on e2, take the pawn on g2, and then take the rook, maintaining even bigger and bigger advantage. For those reasons, after rook f2 e8, opponent decided to play queen to g4. I was thinking about one specific idea at this point before the opponent's move, because I really wanted to push h5, h4, hitting the knight, allowing my rooks to enter the second track. That was my idea, and I felt like after queen g4 it's even faster, because now h5 comes with a tempo to the queen. Taking with the knight would not be possible because I can then simply go here and there, and taking with a queen would also not be possible because after this move the knight is overloaded. The knight has to take the rook, but it has to protect the queen, so queen cannot take on h5. So this move I get basically for free. Queen g6 would be just too slow because I can now push h4, hitting the knight, winning the material, winning the game. So he had to play queen h3, and at this point I happily agreed to an exchange because I felt like 2 pawn advantage, now 3 pawns advantage in the endgame would be more than enough to win it effortlessly. Okay, opponent took my pawn, so once again I'm only 2 pawns up, but with this activity it was not possible for the opponent to survive. We played for a few more moves, after which my opponent finally resigned because he was on the verge of losing another pawn. His king is weak, so it's obvious that he can create no counterplay and the game is easily won for me. So guys, pretty clean win. As I've told you, in the very first moment that my opponent had a critical one, which was around here or maybe one move later, I didn't really think about his ideas. I did not care. I just went with the flow out of the preparation, and after those additional 3 to 5 moves I got winning positions. So this win felt amazing. I finished as the first player in the tournament, so it was also nice to see that I crushed my opponent with black pieces so fast, so well. So yeah, very nice start to the tournament. And look at the review. This is just amazing. I did not know that I played such a great game, but here it is, 99.7 accuracy. You don't get that very often, guys. So that's that. One of my best games in the classical chess ever, I guess, in terms of accuracy, and it's all thanks to the good opening, good preparation. So more than happy with myself. As you can tell, I played amazingly. And yeah, not the bad start. What can you tell, huh? Okay, thank you very much for watching this recap, this analysis. We'll see each other in the next episode, in which I will cover two games, guys. Two games for you coming up tomorrow, so please don't miss it. And well, thank you for watching this one. Leave a like if you like this particular video, and subscribe if you want to see more analysis and perhaps more games like that with such accuracy. Thank you and see you. Bye bye.